Okay, so that stubborn belly fat, the afternoon crash, and the lack of drive. They're not just signs of aging. They're signs that your body's given up, basically, on optimization. And that's what we call the dad bod trap. And today I'm going to show you how to kill it and reclaim your alpha energy. So using science and not shortcuts. So what is the dad bod and why does it happen? So the dad bod isn't just about looks. It's a metabolic warning sign, right? And here's what's really going on. You have low testosterone, high cortisol, mitochondrial dysfunction, insulin resistance, and poor recovery and sleep. It is the body conserving energy, slowing metabolism, and storing fat, especially around the midsection. And unless you reset the system, no amount of dieting or cardio is going to fix this. So, why mitochondria are the hidden key to fat loss and performance. So, muscle isn't just for strength, it's actually a fat burning engine, right? So, your muscles use glucose, they uptake glucose independent of insulin. Why is that important? Because insulin's one of those hormones that makes you fat. So, every time insulin releases, it goes and it grabs glucose and starts storing it as fat. But the muscles will use the glucose directly. They don't need insulin. So if there's glucose circulating around, muscle will use it. So it's a fat burning engine. It's really, really powerful. So when you do strength training, this becomes really, really powerful. And your mitochondria are what power your muscles and metabolism. So when mitochondria slow down, you start to store fat. You burn fewer calories at rest and you feel tired instead of motivated. So maybe you've felt this if you've ever said, my metabolism feels really sluggish. What you're saying is that your mitochondria are feeling sluggish because they're trying to do too many things. It's like when you take on 50 projects and you can't do any of them well, right? So you're kind of dabbling in this project and this project and this project and this project and that project. And when the body is kind of stormed with loss of hormones, declining hormones, toxins, all these things that it has to deal with, it's like the mitochondria have 50 projects just like you, and they're kind of dabbling a little bit in all of them and not doing any one of them really well. So to boost mitochondria function, what happens is your testosterone rises, the fat starts burning again, and you build lean muscle and you start to feel alive again, which is what you want. So we have a three-step framework for killing the dad bod, if you will, and creating that alpha energy. And the first one is to activate and fire up the cells. So completely underrated and free, but one of the best things that you can do is get some morning sunlight, like when the sun first comes up, and really soak that in. And while you're soaking in the sun, take your supplements, your CoQ10, your acetyl L-carnitine, magnesium. You can also look at peptides like 5-amino-1-MQ, MOTS-C, SS31, and then using breath work or cold exposure will also stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis. If you don't like cold exposure, doing infrared sauna will do the same thing. Number two is to build. So we're going to reclaim muscle and strength. And to do this, we're going to lift weights 2 to 3 times a week. You can do some high intensity interval training, which will help with growth hormone release and fat burn. Prioritize protein and fats in your diet and prioritize strength training over just lots of cardiac. And remember that exercise is very taxing on the body. Okay, it creates oxidative stress, but it's good. Some oxidative stress is good. Having massive amounts of oxidative stress is just overwhelming for the body. But what your body needs to clean it up. So if you're going to exercise, you need to make sure that you recover from the exercise. And how do you do that? You need to sleep. You need deep sleep and you need some really good REM sleep at night. So if you're up all night, probably the best thing to do is not to go hash it out in the gym, right? You need to recover from the exercise that you've already done, because then you just make it worse, right? And you can literally exercise yourself into like chronic disease. And that's not what you want. So you have to get that recovery. And one of the peptides that's really good for helping to speed up the recovery process are your CJC and bromelains and your growth hormones. They're really helpful for that recovery. And step three is to sustain balanced hormones and recovery. So again, sleeping that 7 to 8 hours a night, trying to get to bed before midnight, right? Because deep sleep happens And it's different for everybody. So this is something that you have to kind of track. And if you have the Aura ring, that's really helpful to track your sleep. But I know for myself personally, if I go to bed later than 10, my deep sleep goes down dramatically. So I need to be in bed by 9 or 10 in order to hit my deep sleep, which seems to come around 12. And then I'll hit 1 to 2 hours of deep sleep around 12 o'clock. But if I miss that window, then my sleep isn't that great. So that's a big deal for me. And these are things that you find out if you actually track them. So, and then you're also looking at testosterone replacement, or if you're really young, like you're in your 20s and 30s, and you're still looking to have children, you don't want to necessarily take exogenous testosterone unless it's really, really important, because it will decrease your sperm count. It will come back, but it could take a year or two of coming off testosterone for that sperm count to come back. So if you're still looking to have children, doing TRT, the testosterone replacement therapy, is probably not the best idea. You would probably want to do something more like Kisspeptin, HCG, even Clomid. Other things you can do is soft wave, the radio frequency, red light therapy, and you can do IV therapy as well, and eliminate those endocrine disruptors. So stay away from things that are in plastic as much as possible. It's impossible to stay away from plastic, and you can't actually go out to eat and not have plastics, because everything in the restaurant is basically came in a plastic package. So it's impossible to get away from completely, but as best as you can, using glass containers will help. Every little bit helps. Staying away from processed foods, because when you eat food that's not real, if it's a chemical, the body has to figure out what to do with it. It has to break it down. This requires a lot of energy. And if you're spending all your energy trying to break down food that you've eaten that's not actually real, then it can't do other things like burn fat or repair damaged proteins and DNA and that kind of stuff. So all of that stuff has to go to the wayside so that it can deal with the toxic elements that you put in the body. So what you eat is extremely, extremely important. And stay away from seed oils, because they cause massive oxidative stress. So your canola oils, vegetable oils, all that stuff is crap. All right. So I had a client, a dad of 3. He was 45 years old, running on coffee, wine, and sheer willpower. So he was stuck in a cycle of low motivation, gut weight, and basically shame, right? We ran his labs. His testosterone was low. His cortisol was high. Mitochondria suppressed. So we implemented the TRT, MOTS-C, red light, and strength training. And within 90 days, he had lost 20 pounds, was really feeling great again. And he said his wife would just really notice the difference. It changed their relationship. So that's the power of mitochondria and masculine momentum. So if you're ready to start your comeback story, download my free Mito Mastery Guide. It's everything you need to begin rebuilding your energy, strength, and confidence from the cellular level up. The link's in description. And this is just the beginning of your comeback story. There's so much that needs to be done here, but this is step 1. So if you haven't seen the full series, go back to video 1 and connect the dots, because when you fix your mitochondria, reclaim your fire, your body isn't broken. It's just waiting to be activated. So let's rebuild it stronger, leaner, sharper, one cell at a time. So subscribe now, and let's keep building the strongest version of you.